I invited my ex-wife to my wedding just to watch her break. But when she arrived with bodyguards and a man I didn't recognize, everything turned into a nightmare. I shouldn't have sent that invitation. I remember the exact moment my finger hovered over the send button. Something inside me hesitated. It wasn't guilt or regret. It felt like a warning, quiet but real. I ignored it. I always ignore those feelings, and that's how everything started going wrong. Her name is Amara, or at least that's the name I knew. We were married for 4 years. From the outside, we looked perfect. People admired us, without knowing anything about what was happening behind closed doors. In public, we smiled, laughed, played our roles well. But at home, it was cold, silent, tense. It felt like living with someone who understood all your weaknesses and was just waiting for the right moment to use them. Back then, I thought I was in control. I believed I understood her, that I could read her. Now I see how wrong I was. I never really knew her. The divorce was quiet. No shouting, no tears, no begging. That's what made it worse. She didn't fight for me. She didn't ask questions. She didn't even seem surprised. She just signed the papers and smiled. That smile stayed with me, not because it was sad, but because it wasn't. 3 months later, I met Clara. She was everything Amara wasn't. Warm, kind, simple. She laughed easily and trusted me without hesitation. When she looked at me, she saw someone good, and I wanted to believe that version of myself. So I moved fast, too fast. Within a year, we were engaged. That's when I made the decision that would ruin everything. I invited Amara to the wedding. People told me it was a bad idea. Even Clara wasn't comfortable with it. She asked me if I was sure, and I told her it was just to show that I had moved on. That was a lie. The truth was darker. I wanted Amara to see me happy. I wanted her to regret losing me. I wanted to see her break, even just once. So I sent the invitation. No message, no explanation. Just her name on a formal card. Cold and distant. She replied 2 days later. Just one sentence. I'll be there. No emotion, no surprise, just certainty. That's when the unease started. At first it was small, easy to ignore, but it kept growing. A week before the wedding, strange things began happening. Nothing obvious, nothing I could clearly explain, but everything felt off. I started receiving calls from unknown numbers. Every time I answered, there was silence on the other end. No breathing, no voice. Just emptiness before the call ended. One night, I noticed a car parked outside my house with its engine running and lights off. It felt like it was watching me. When I stepped outside, it drove away slowly like it didn't care if I saw it. I tried to convince myself it was just stress, just pressure from the wedding, but then something happened that I couldn't ignore. 2 days before the wedding, a package arrived with no sender and no return address. Inside was a photograph of me standing outside a building. It had been taken from a distance. I didn't remember anyone being there that day. At the bottom of the photo, there was a message written in black ink. I know what you did. My chest tightened immediately because there was only one person I could think of, Amara. I tried calling her, but she didn't answer. I called again. Nothing. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound felt louder. Every shadow felt different. I kept thinking about that message. What did she mean? What did she know? And why now? For the first time in years, I felt something I didn't expect. Fear. The wedding day came too quickly. Everything looked perfect on the outside. The venue was beautiful, decorated with white flowers, soft music filling the air, guests smiling and enjoying themselves. It was exactly how it was supposed to be, but I couldn't relax. Something felt wrong. Clara noticed it. She adjusted my tie and told me I looked pale. I smiled and said I was just nervous, but that wasn't true. I wasn't nervous. I was waiting for Amara. The ceremony was about to begin. All the guests were seated, the room was full, except for one empty chair near the front, her seat. I checked my watch. She was late. Part of me felt relieved. Maybe she wasn't coming. Maybe everything I felt was just in my head. Then the doors opened. The entire room went silent. Every head turned at the same time, and then she walked in. Amara. But she wasn't the same woman I remembered. Not even close. She looked powerful, untouchable. She was dressed in black, elegant and composed, like she belonged to another world. What froze me were the men behind her. 3 of them, tall, expressionless, dressed in dark suits. They moved with her in perfect sync. Bodyguards. My stomach dropped. Then I saw the man walking beside her. Calm, confident, watching everything. I didn't know who he was, but I immediately felt it. He was dangerous. Amara didn't look at me, not once. She walked slowly to her seat, like she had all the time in the world. Just before sitting down, she smiled. Not at me, at Clara. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. Something cold, something real. This wasn't about me anymore. This wasn't about proving anything or moving on. This was something else. Something I didn't understand yet. And for the first time that day, I realized something was seriously wrong. I just didn't know how bad it was going to get. I couldn't stop staring at her. Amara sat there like she belonged, more than anyone else in that room. Calm, composed, untouchable. The 3 men behind her didn't move, didn't blink, didn't even look around like normal people would. They were focused, trained, dangerous, and the man beside her, he wasn't just rich. You could feel it. The kind of presence that silences a room without effort. I tried to pull myself together. This was my wedding, my moment. I wasn't going to let her ruin it. The music started. People stood up. The ceremony began. But my eyes kept drifting back to her. She never looked at me. Not once. And somehow that felt worse than anything. Clara walked down the aisle, smiling, glowing, completely unaware of the tension building around us. For a moment, I tried to focus on her, on us, on the life I was about to start. I told myself everything was fine. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. When Clara finally reached me, she squeezed my hand gently. "You're cold," she whispered. I forced a smile and nodded, but I couldn't even feel her touch properly. My attention kept slipping. Back to Amara. Then something strange happened. One of the bodyguards leaned slightly toward the man beside her and whispered something. The man didn't react much, just nodded once, slowly. But I saw it, and for some reason my chest tightened. It felt like they were waiting for something, or someone. The officiant started speaking, but his words sounded distant, like they were underwater. My mind was racing. The photo, the message, the calls, the car outside my house. It all came rushing back at once. "I know what you did." What did she mean? I tried to think clearly, but my thoughts kept circling back to things I didn't want to remember, moments I had buried, choices I had justified, things I told myself didn't matter anymore. But now they were coming back, and they were louder than ever. "Do you, Daniel?" The officiant's voice snapped me back. I blinked. Everyone was looking at me. Clara was smiling, waiting. "Take Clara to be your lawfully wedded wife?" My mouth opened, but no sound came out. For a split second, everything felt wrong, like I was standing in the wrong life. Then I nodded quickly. "Yes, I do." The room relaxed. Soft laughter, smiles, but something inside me didn't. Then it was Clara's turn. She said yes without hesitation, her voice full of certainty, pure, honest. And suddenly I felt something I didn't expect. Guilt, real guilt, for the first time. Because whatever was happening, whatever Amara knew, Clara had no idea. And she was about to be dragged into it. "Rings," the officiant said. I reached into my pocket. But my hand froze. The ring box wasn't there. My heart skipped. I checked my other pocket. Nothing. A cold wave ran through my body. This wasn't possible. I had it just minutes ago. I was sure of it. "Is everything all right?" the officiant asked quietly. People started murmuring. Clara looked confused. "Daniel?" I forced a laugh, trying to play it off. Just a second. But inside, panic was rising fast. Then, from across the room, a voice spoke. "Calm, clear, controlled. I believe you're looking for this." Every head turned, including mine. Amara was standing, and in her hand was my ring box. My heart dropped so hard it felt like it disappeared completely. "How did you—" I started, but my voice cracked. She took a few slow steps forward, her heels echoing in the silent room. The bodyguards moved with her, and so did the man beside her. The atmosphere changed instantly. What was once a wedding now felt like something else entirely. Something tense. Something dangerous. She stopped a few feet away from me and held out the ring box. "Careless," she said softly. Her voice hadn't changed. Still calm, still controlled. But there was something underneath it now. Something sharp. I reached for the box, my hand slightly shaking. Our fingers almost touched, and for a brief second, she looked at me. Really looked at me, and in that moment I felt it. She knew. Not suspected, not guessed. Knew, exactly. What do you mean? I asked under my breath. Her lips curved into a faint smile. You've always been bad at hiding things, Daniel. My throat went dry. Clara stepped closer to me. What's going on? Amara turned her gaze to her, and that same unsettling smile appeared again. Congratulations, she said politely. You look beautiful. Clara hesitated. Thank you. But she looked confused, uncomfortable. She could feel it too. Something was wrong. Amara stepped back slowly, returning to her seat like nothing had happened. The room stayed silent for a few seconds, before the officiant awkwardly cleared his throat and tried to continue. The ceremony resumed. But everything had changed. My hands were shaking now. I could barely focus. My thoughts were spiraling out of control, because I knew one thing for sure. Amara didn't come here to watch. She came here for something else, and whatever it wasn't over. Daniel? Clara whispered again. I looked at her, and for the first time I saw it. Doubt, fear. She was starting to question me, and I didn't have answers. Place the ring, the officiant said. I slowly took Clara's hand. But just as I was about to slide the ring onto her finger, a loud sound echoed through the room. The door slammed shut. Hard. Everyone jumped. Someone screamed. The music stopped abruptly. And then, silence. Heavy, oppressive, the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. I turned toward the doors. Two men stood there. Not guests, not staff. They looked official, serious. One of them stepped forward and spoke loudly. Daniel Carter. My blood froze. That's me, I said slowly. He held up something. A badge. We need you to come with us. The room erupted into whispers. Clara pulled her hand away from mine. What is this? I didn't answer. I couldn't, because in that moment, everything clicked. The photo. The message. The calls. Amara. This wasn't a coincidence. This was planned. Every second of it. I turned slowly toward her. She was already looking at me. And this time, she didn't smile. Her expression was cold. Final. Like this was the moment she had been waiting for. You should go, she said quietly. My chest tightened. What did you do? I asked. Her eyes didn't move. I didn't do anything, she replied calmly. I just stopped protecting you. My heart stopped. Protecting me? From what? The officer stepped closer. Sir, we don't want to make a scene. Too late for that. The entire room was watching. Clara looked like she didn't recognize me anymore. Daniel, what is happening? She whispered. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't know what to say, because the truth, the real truth, was finally catching up to me, and I had a feeling this was only the beginning. The room felt smaller with every step the officer took toward me. I could hear whispers spreading like fire behind me. Clara's hand slowly slipped out of mine like she was already letting go. I didn't try to hold it back. Sir, please come with us, the officer repeated. I swallowed hard. There must be a mistake. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't true, because of the way Amara was looking at me. Not angry, not emotional, certain. Like someone watching a story finally reach its ending. I can't leave, I said, forcing a weak smile. This is my wedding. The second officer stepped forward. That's not going to happen today. A quiet shock moved through the crowd. Someone pulled out their phone. I could feel everything collapsing, piece by piece. Clara stepped in front of me suddenly. No, wait. You can't just take him like that. What is this about? The officers exchanged a quick look. Then one of them spoke. Ma'am, you don't know? The way he said it made my chest tighten instantly. Clara frowned. Know what? I turned toward him quickly. Don't say anything. But it was too late. It's about a financial investigation, the officer continued. Fraud, disappearance of funds, and... Stop! I snapped. Silence hit the room again. Clara slowly turned toward me. Her face had changed completely. Daniel, what is he talking about? My mind raced. I needed to control this. I needed to fix it. It's nothing, I said quickly. Just business misunderstandings. I told you about the company issues. You said it was minor, She cut in, her voice shaking. You said everything was handled. It is handled, I insisted. But even to me it sounded weak, because deep down I knew the truth. It was never handled. It was buried, and now it was back. The officer took another step forward. Sir, we have records linking you to unauthorized transfers over the past year. Large amounts. Clara stepped back slightly, like the words physically hit her. No, that's not possible. I looked at her, desperate. Clara, listen to me. Did you do it? She asked. The question hit harder than anything else. Simple. Direct. There was no place to hide inside it. I hesitated. And that hesitation said everything. Her eyes widened. Oh my God! It's not what you think, I said quickly. I was going to fix it. I just needed time. Time? She repeated. Time for what? I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Because the truth wasn't simple, and it wasn't clean. And worst of all, it didn't start the way they thought. It started with Amara. I turned slowly toward her. She was still seated, calm, watching everything unfold like she had already seen it 100 times. You did this, I said quietly. She tilted her head slightly. Did I? You set me up, I continued. All of this. The timing. The officers. This is you. A faint smile touched her lips, but it didn't reach her eyes. You really still don't understand, do you? My jaw tightened. Understand what? She stood up again, slowly, drawing everyone's attention without effort. The man beside her remained silent, observing. I didn't create anything, Daniel, she said calmly. I just stopped cleaning up your mess. Those words hit harder than anything before, because suddenly, things started connecting in my head. Moments, situations, times when problems should have exploded, but didn't. Deals that should have failed, but somehow worked out. Money that disappeared, but no one questioned it. I felt a cold wave move through my body. What are you talking about? I asked, but my voice was weaker now. She stepped closer again, her heels echoing softly on the floor. Do you really think you were that good? She asked quietly. That careful? That smart? I didn't answer. Because I was starting to see it, or maybe I had always known but refused to accept it. You were reckless, she continued. You made mistakes constantly. You took risks you didn't understand. And every time something went wrong, she paused, looking directly into my eyes. I fixed it. My chest tightened painfully. No, I whispered. But she didn't stop. I moved money before anyone could trace it. I redirected attention. I made people look the other way. I protected you. Again and again. The room was completely silent now. Everyone was listening. Clara. The officers. The guests. All of them. And then, Amara said softly, you left. The words carried no anger. That's what made them worse. You walked away like none of it mattered. Like I was nothing. Like everything I did for you meant nothing. I didn't ask you to do that, I said quickly. Her eyes sharpened instantly. No, you didn't. That's the point. I froze. Because suddenly, this wasn't about revenge. Not in the way I thought. This was something deeper. Something I didn't understand yet. You needed me, she continued, her voice calm but cutting. More than you ever realized. Clara shook her head slowly. This doesn't make sense. Amara turned to her gently. It doesn't need to. Not yet. Then she looked back at me. And when you sent me that invitation, she said, that was the moment I realized something. My heart was pounding now. What? I asked. Her expression didn't change. That you still had no idea who you were without me. A chill ran down my spine. The officer stepped forward again. Sir, we really need to go. But I didn't move. I couldn't. Because everything inside me was shifting, breaking, rearranging into something I didn't recognize. You could have warned me, I said quietly to Amara. She looked at me for a long second. Then she shook her head. No, she said softly. You needed to see it. See what? Her gaze didn't waver. Who you really are. Those words landed deep, too deep. And for a moment, I felt something crack inside me. Because I knew she was right about one thing. Without her, everything had started falling apart, faster than I expected, worse than I imagined. But there was still something I didn't understand. Something bigger. Something darker. Because none of this explained the message. The photo. I know what you did. That wasn't about money. That was something else. Something older. Something I had buried deeper. I looked at her again, my voice low. This isn't just about the fraud, is it? Her silence answered me before she spoke. No, she said finally. My heart dropped. What else do you know? She studied me for a moment like she was deciding something. Then she leaned slightly closer. Close enough that only I could hear her next words. And when she spoke, everything inside me stopped. You remember the night of the accident? My blood ran cold instantly. No. No, not that. Anything but that. I stepped back without thinking. You're wrong, I said quickly. That has nothing to do with this. But my voice betrayed me, because it wasn't steady anymore. It was shaking. Badly. Amara didn't react. She just watched me. Calm. Certain. Like she had been waiting for this exact moment. I was there, Daniel, she said quietly. My vision blurred for a second. That's not possible. I saw everything. My heart started pounding so hard it hurt. You don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, she interrupted softly. And then she said the one thing I never thought I would hear. The man didn't die instantly. The world around me disappeared. The room, the people, the voices, everything faded. Because in that moment, the past came back. Clear, sharp, unavoidable. And I realized something that made my entire body go cold. This wasn't just the end of my wedding. This was the beginning of something much worse. Everything inside me went quiet after she said that. The man didn't die instantly. Those words kept repeating in my head like a loop I couldn't stop. My hands felt numb. My chest was tight. I could barely breathe. You're lying, I said, but my voice didn't sound convincing. Not even to me. Amara didn't react. She just watched me with that same calm expression, like she had already accepted the truth long before I did. I was there, Daniel, she said again, slower this time. I saw you. I shook my head. No, you're trying to manipulate me. This is just another game. But even as I spoke, memories started pushing through. Things I had buried. Things I had forced myself to forget. It was late that night. I remember that much clearly. I had been driving too fast. My phone kept lighting up with messages. Work problems, money issues, pressure building from every direction. I wasn't paying attention. That's what I told myself. That it was just an accident. Something that happened too fast to control. But that wasn't the full truth. I saw him. I remember that now. He stepped onto the road suddenly, but not close enough to hit if I had been focused. If I had slowed down. If I had reacted in time. But I didn't. The impact was violent, loud, final. I remember the sound more than anything. Then silence. Complete silence. My hands tightened into fists as the memory became clearer. I got out of the car, I said quietly, almost to myself. I checked, but I stopped. Because that wasn't how it really happened. Amara took a small step closer. Say it, she said. I looked at her, my breathing uneven. I thought he was dead. Her eyes didn't move. You didn't check his pulse. I panicked. You ran. The word hit me like a slap. I didn't run, I said quickly. I needed to think. But even as I said it, I could see it clearly now. I had looked around. The street was empty. No witnesses, no cars. And then I made a decision. This time her answer came without hesitation. Because I thought I could control it. I stared at her, confused. Control what? You. The word felt heavy. Real. You were already slipping, she said. But I believed I could keep things from getting worse. I thought if I stayed close, if I handled the consequences, you wouldn't fall further. I let out a dry laugh. So you protected me? Yes. And now? She looked at me without blinking. Now I'm done. Silence filled the room again. Everything made sense now. The money, the cover-ups, the silence. She hadn't just been my wife. She had been managing me, fixing everything I broke, hiding everything I ruined. And the moment she left, everything started collapsing. You ruined my life, I said quietly. Her expression didn't change. No, she replied. I delayed it. Those words hit harder than anything else, because they were true. The officer reached for my arm. Sir, we're leaving now. This time I didn't resist. I couldn't. Because for the first time, I understood everything. But just as they started leading me away, Amara spoke again. Daniel! I stopped, slowly turned back. She was watching me with that same calm, controlled expression. But this time, there was something else. Something final. "There's one thing you still don't know," she said. My chest tightened. "What?" She held my gaze for a long second. Then she said it, and everything inside me collapsed. He was my brother. The world stopped. Completely. My knees almost gave out. "No," I whispered. But she didn't look away. Yes, the truth hit me all at once. The accident, the silence, her protection, her control. It was never random. It was never coincidence. It was personal. From the very beginning. And I had no idea. "You stayed with me," I said slowly, my voice barely there. "Yes." "After knowing?" "Yes." "Why?" Her answer was quiet, cold, terrifying, because I wanted to see who you really were. A chill ran through my entire body. "And now you know," I said. She nodded slightly. "Yes?" I swallowed hard. "And?" Her expression didn't change. "You're exactly what I thought." The officers pulled me forward. And this time, I didn't look back. The ride to the station felt unreal. I sat in the back of the car, staring at nothing, while everything replayed in my head. The wedding, Clara's face, Amara's voice, and that last sentence, "He was my brother." It echoed over and over again, louder each time. I didn't fight. I didn't speak. I didn't ask questions. Because for the first time in a long time, I understood exactly where I was. At the end. The interrogation room was cold and empty. A metal table, 2 chairs, a camera in the corner. They sat me down and left me alone for a while. I think it was intentional, to let everything sink in, to let me sit with it. And it worked. Because the silence started breaking me faster than any question could. I kept seeing his face. Not clearly, just flashes. A shadow on the road. The impact. The stillness. Then something I had refused to remember before. Movement! A slight movement. He had moved. And I turned away. I leaned forward, pressing my hands against my face. "I didn't know," I whispered to myself. But even that sounded empty now. Because not knowing wasn't the truth. I just didn't want to know. The door opened. An officer walked in and sat across from me. "We're going to ask you some questions," he said calmly. I nodded slowly. And then I told them everything, not just the accident. Everything. The money, the lies, the shortcuts, the decisions I kept justifying to myself, the way I convinced myself that I was still a good person, even while doing things I knew were wrong. I didn't hold anything back. There was no point anymore. Hours passed, maybe more. Time didn't feel real. At some point they left again, and I was alone. That's when it hit me. Not the fear, not the consequences. Something worse. Clarity. I realized something I had avoided my entire life. Amara didn't ruin me. She didn't destroy anything. She didn't set me up. She just stopped saving me. And without her, there was nothing left to hide behind. Days passed after that. Everything moved fast. Charges, reports, statements. The story spread quickly. Man arrested at his own wedding. People love stories like that, especially when they're real. Clara never came to see me. I heard she left the city. No message, no call, nothing. And honestly, I didn't expect anything else. Some things can't be explained, and some people shouldn't try. But Amara, she came. I didn't expect that. Not after everything. Not after the truth was out. But one afternoon they told me I had a visitor, and when I walked into the room, she was there. Same calm posture, same controlled presence, like nothing had changed for her. I sat down slowly across from her. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then I looked at her. "Why are you here?" I asked. She studied me for a second before answering. "To see the end." I let out a quiet breath. "You've already seen it." She shook her head slightly. "No, this part matters." I frowned. "Why?" She leaned back slightly, her eyes never leaving mine. "Because this is the only moment in your life where you're not hiding." That hit deeper than I expected. I looked down at my hands. "You stayed with me for years," I said, after knowing what I did, after knowing who I was. "Yes, that doesn't make sense." "It does," she replied calmly. I looked back at her. "Explain it to me." There was a long pause before she spoke again. I needed to understand something, she said. What? She tilted her head slightly. If people like you are born or made... My chest tightened. And? I asked quietly. Her answer came without hesitation. Made. I swallowed hard. So everything, all those years, were real, she said. At least at the beginning. That surprised me. You actually loved me? She didn't look away. Yes. The word felt heavy. Unexpected. And then? I asked. Her expression changed slightly. Not softer. Just final. Then I saw who you were becoming. Silence filled the space between us. And you stayed, I said. Yes. To protect me? She shook her head slowly. No. I frowned. Then why? This time her answer was colder than anything she had said before. To see how far you would go. A chill ran through me. And now you know, I said. She nodded once. Yes. I leaned back in my chair, staring at her. You could have stopped me earlier, I said. Yes. You could have exposed me years ago. Yes. So why now? She held my gaze. Because now it matters. That answer didn't make sense to me. What changed? Her eyes didn't move. You were about to start over. I felt my chest tighten. With Clara, she continued. A new life. A clean image. A version of yourself that wasn't real. I didn't say anything. Because she was right. That couldn't happen, she said calmly. So you destroyed everything. No, she replied softly. I revealed it. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. I looked at her one last time. Do you hate me? I asked. It was the only question that still mattered. She didn't answer immediately. And when she finally did, it wasn't what I expected. No, she said. I frowned. I don't hate you. Then what? I asked. Her eyes stayed locked on mine. I see you. Those 3 words felt heavier than anything else. Because for the first time in my life, I felt seen, not as the person I pretended to be, not as the version I showed the world, but as the truth. Raw, ugly, real. The guard knocked on the door. Time's up. Amara stood up slowly. I didn't. I just watched her. This is it then, I said. She nodded slightly. Yes. She turned to leave. But just before reaching the door, she stopped. Without turning back, she said one last thing. You wanted to see me break that day. My chest tightened. She paused, then added quietly, but you were the only one who shattered. She walked out. And this time, she didn't come back. I sat there for a long time after she left, thinking, replaying everything.